Now let us create our own material. I will access the content drawer, and over here in the content folder, I will create a subfolder called as materials. And inside here, just right click on this empty space and select this material option. So this will create a new material for you. You can just rename it and make sure your name doesn't have any spaces. Otherwise, you won't be able to create your material. Just press enter or double click it. You will be having this new window, which is the material editor. So firstly, we have over here is the graph panel, where most of the work is done. It is where you will place functions and the expression nodes from the palette panel. With the help of some data wires, you will connect it to the output, which will reflect over here in this viewport, and you can apply it in your material. Talking about the palette panel, which is situated at this right hand side plane. So the palette panel contains all the functions and the variable, which is used to create a material. Then over here we have the details panel. The details panel is where you can change the overall material properties and the rendering method that will get applied to this material. Also, we know about this viewport panel. We can change the shape. These are some of the basic shapes, and this will preview how the material would look on any basic shape. By default, it is always set to the sphere. Then at the top, we have the toolbar. This is where you can save and compile your material, and you can apply the material to do the compilation. Also, we have some more tools such as the live update tool and clean the graph. Also, we have some debugging tools and the stacks, which will give us how the material is performing and overall stuff. Let's talk about this output panel over here. So this is called the base material node. Let us understand some of the important properties inside this output node. Firstly, we have the base color. So the base color is also referred as the albedo or diffuse. The base color is the core color of the surface in the material. It should be void of the shadow and the lighting information, and it should only show the color that you wish to represent in the material. So the base color input uses the pure color value of the material that you are creating. Then we have the metallic property. The metallic input is used to determine if the material looks like metal. The input value goes from 0 to 1, where 0 is the least metallic property, and if you input the value 1, it will show you the most metallic property that you can achieve. Then you have the specular property. The specular input determines the overall reflectivity of a surface. The value of 0 will not reflect anything, whereas the value of 1 will give you the most reflections. Then we have the roughness property. The roughness input contains the value from 0 to 1, whereas 0 is the least roughness in the material and 1 will give you the most roughness property inside your material. Next, we have the normal property. So the normal property inputs a texture called as the normal map, which contains the information of the depth of the material. Let us create a color and we'll put that inside the base color property and we'll see the preview. So to create a color, we need a color function. We can find it inside the palette panel. So here we just need to search vector parameter. So just drag it and drop inside this graph panel. So, and here I can rename this as base color. So what is this function? So this function creates the color. Here we can set the RGB values for the color. And also the fourth value will be the alpha value, means the transparency for this color. So here are those output nodes for those color. Just select this function and inside the details panel, you will notice that we have some properties here. But now we are just interested in this default value. So I can set the RGB values separately, but instead I can make use of the color picker tool. So I'll just select over here. Then we have this window of this color picker tool. Here I can select any color I wish. So somewhat this purplish color I will select. I will increase the brightness and we can also set the saturation. And after you hit OK, inside the preview over here, you will see the color we have. I will just create a wire from this output node and will put it inside this base color. So just hold the left click from here and just drop it over here. You will see inside this viewport, we have the preview shape and this material is applied to that shape. So let us compile this material and we'll save it. I will go back inside the content browser and here let us apply our material to this cube object. I can just drag and drop on this cube. So here you can see that the previous material has been disappeared and it has been replaced with our material. Inside this details panel of the cube, we have our material applied. Let us look at some more properties for this material. I will double press the material. We are back inside this material editor. Let us add some metallic property on this material. So to add the metallic property, we don't need the vector parameter. We don't need any color for this. We need a variable which consists of some integer value. So that variable or that integer is called as the constant in here. So let us search the constant inside the palette panel. But instead of palette panel, I can just right click in this empty space over here and we'll have the same palette panel in this menu. I can just search the constant and I'll just press it and it will appear over here. By default, it has 0 value. So I will just drag and drop inside the metallic property. So now 0 means it is not showing any metallic property inside this material. So I will select this integer and now inside the details panel, we can set the value of this integer of 1 being the maximum metallic property. And it will reload and this has been changed and showing a little bit of metallic property. Let us apply and save. So now that material will be automatically updated on that cube. Let's go back and have a look. So here you can see we have the metallic property applied on this cube. Somewhat like this. Amazing, right? Let us have a look at some more properties of this material editor. I will go back inside our material. Also, I can see in the preview, we have the latest properties of the materials that we have done. Now let us put some roughness in this. So again, I will make use of these integer values, but also we will learn in the future videos how can I put the textures instead of these numbers. We can actually put the texture itself. So right now we'll just stick with these integer values. I can make a copy of it by just pressing Ctrl D, and now we can just drag it and drop inside the roughness. So one being the roughest, and I can put it 0 being the least roughness. So here we can have the fully metallic object. So why before it was not fully metallic? Because if you do not connect any integer to this, by default, those have some values. So by default, the specular has 0.5 value. By default, the roughness also has the 1 value. So when I did 0, now it has 0 roughness inside the material. And we have the metallic property to the max. We'll press apply and we'll save it so that it will automatically get applied to that cube. Let's have a look. So as you can see, this cube now has the 0 roughness and the maximum metallic property. Looks amazing. Let's have a look at the emissive color property. So we'll go back to the material editor. So here, the emissive color property inputs the value from 0 to 1, and the 0 being the least emissive and the 1 being the most emissive or the more glow. We can also input the color inside the emissive property so that it will glow with the same color. So I can I will duplicate this number and I will drag and drop inside this emissive color property. So it will just give it the white glow to this material. So if I save it and we'll get back here, we can see it is just glowing in white. Inside the emissive color property, we can even input this same color. So what I can do is I can just drag this and will drop inside this emissive color property. Notice that this will automatically get disconnected. I will press apply and save. And now it is glowing, but with the same color.